had a great suggestion come in that I do a video about advancing jobs and what the process is that you go through when you're booking a job for the first time. A lot of times you're going to be booking jobs if you own sound equipment or if you work for a sound company. You may be advancing in terms of what gear is going to be brought. But today I'm just going to talk about advancing a job from the perspective of independent operator or a contractor coming in to fill a role on a production team. So generally, if you get a call, the first thing you want to know is the date. When is the actual day of the week and the general time frame? A lot of times I'll get called for something, and if you don't ask or if you don't get down to details, you might think it's an all-day job, and it turns out it's only a couple of hours, or you might think it's a nighttime thing, but in fact it's 5 a.m. in the morning load in, and you've got something booked the night before. So general time frame, get that right up front on the day. The location, the venue name, and a rough location. If somebody says we're at the ballroom at the Marriott, they could be talking about one of 4 or 5 different Marriotts depending on the size of your town. So make sure they tell you, hey, it's the Marriott over on the west side or Marriott over near 32nd Street, whatever the case. You can Google later, get more information on that, and you should. You should definitely look up the venue, take a look at the street map and all that kind of stuff. But general idea so you don't get anything mixed up or confused again with your scheduling, trying to make sure you can get there on time. The call time, location, where are you actually meeting for the job? Are you meeting on the dock? Is there a ballroom or a room number you need to be getting to meet up at the call time? Or is there some sort of off-site procedure? Here in DC, a lot of off-site security you got to get to extra early. So if there's a call time of 12:45, you need to be dealing with off-site security and meeting up in the right place well before that so you can still get to your call time. That call time is not when you should start trying to get into the building or the venue. You want to find out what your role is. Are you just general tech? Are you general labor? Are you somebody with a role like an A2 or an A1 or even lighting or video equivalents of those? You definitely want to find out what your expected role is, and that's going to help you with 2 things. It's going to help you know if the rate they're offering is fair, and it's also going to let you know what you need to bring with you. So if you've not worked with them before, you definitely want to talk about rate before you agree to do anything. You don't want to give commitments to do a job before you know what you're agreeing to. It's only fair to everybody. And if you have worked with the company before, you just want to know what you're being expected to do. If they want to bring you in as a general tech box pusher and then all of a sudden you're expected to mix the show in A1, that kind of stuff needs to be talked about up front. And it can be just a simple question. Hey, what do you want me to be doing? What are you going to have me doing that day? So I know what to bring. And on that front, you want to know what to bring. If you're just general tech or labor, you want to be prepared with personal stuff. You want to have your lunch and anything personal you might have. We went through what I carry in my personal bag. If you're going to be an A2 on the day, I might bring a few extra bits and pieces. Definitely want to make sure I have things like headphones, iPad, a little more audio related stuff in my kit for an A2 job. For an A1 job, I definitely want to think about bringing my full kit, maybe all my adapters, tools, meters, all that kind of stuff. So you want to know what that role is, so for your rate, to make sure you're getting paid fairly and your expectations are set. And also so you're prepared, so you know what to have with you. Nothing worse than being called for a job and then you show up and you didn't bring something because they weren't clear about what they wanted from you. Anything extra you can find out at this point. Find out who the artist is, who the end client is. Again, you're going to want to get on Google, get on YouTube, especially with bands, with touring bands that are touring currently. You definitely want to try to jump on YouTube and see if you can find some live footage of their most recent show. A lot of times we'll get tech writers from bands that are outdated, but if you can find a recent YouTube video or something online about them playing a show recently, you can check out their actual lineup. You can look at a few shows. I've done this plenty of times in the past where you go on, you find a few recent shows and you can see that their stage setup has changed, or they're doing something different, or instead of the piano they're using a synth now, or whatever the case may be. And when you're talking about extras with whoever's hiring you, request that they forward you anything they can. If they have a tech writer, you definitely want to take a look at that and see if there's anything on there that you can be better prepared for. But looking up who the end client or the artist is ahead of time on your own time is really cool. You be able to show up at a venue and know a little bit more about what's going on and be prepared for anything unusual that may happen. A lot of bands are doing unique stuff. Always cool to be up to date on what they're up to, so when they show up, you're prepared and expecting it, not surprised by it. Once you've got all this stuff down, if you've agreed to do the job, add it to your calendar right away. Don't leave it on a piece of note paper. Don't forget about it. Don't leave it sitting in your email. Add to your calendar so you don't get overbooked. You don't want to overextend yourself. Again, a lot of times, like I was talking about just a moment ago, you might have a job that you've agreed to in principle on the date, and then you find out it's some crazy early load in, and you've just got to make that work a lot of times. But often, if you didn't know about it ahead of time, you might have a really late night the night before, and then a super early load in. And as long as that doesn't create a logistical issue, if you're traveling, I've had that happen before too, where you're trying to get back into town for something because the time frame was just a little earlier than you had expected. You don't want to end up overextended. You don't want to end up ever having to call somebody and tell them you can't do a job that you committed to. It's definitely what you want to avoid. So that's pretty much it. Get things on your calendar as soon as you book them. I always try to plan gig days to be kind of whole days. I try to block that out so I don't end up overextending myself. But if you can squeeze more than one thing in, a morning thing and a nighttime thing, getting it on your calendar earlier definitely helps you be able to do that. So that's advancing a job as a freelancer, as a contractor. We'll talk more in the future about advancing a job when you're actually talking about gear, how that relates to what a band might be asking for in the rider, what a promoter might be willing to pay for, expectation versus the reality of budgets and logistics and all the rest of that. So I'll talk about a little bit that we'll talk about that a little more in a future video here. Be sure to subscribe, like, and shoot me a comment if you are enjoying the videos, or if you have any suggestions. Would love to know what you're doing differently and how you approach the same thing. So let me know below, hit subscribe, give me a like or thumbs up if you are enjoying it. Thanks so much.